then here one now, like my parents are into music in terms of like they're consumers, like, you know, they play music all the time. They used to fight with music, like if they're warring each other, like my mom had her records, my dad has his records, and it's war in the house. So you know, when they start, you know, certain songs start playing, like it's a clash, right? So that's how I got into music.
So hold on there. Which collection did better? Daddy collection or mommy collection?
Mommy one, you know.
Oh,
no man.
Why not mommy collection?
No, mommy used to fling word. No, she used to fling word in her VR thing. Like, no, some Millie Jackson. Oh no, man. When you played Millie Jackson, yes. I don't know how my dad didn't feel that. No.
What up, peeps? Welcome to another episode of Next Friday. Now this week, our special guest is Tandra Jhagroo.
Yeah.
Did I get the name correct?
Awesome. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
doozy.
man. You can't see what go on my mouth and there said, but yeah, man. But Tandra, welcome to Next Friday.
Thank you.
We're inside Tandra's studio, and Tandra is, what do you call it, a studio engineer?
Studio engineer, studio owner.
Studio owner, studio engineer.
Yeah.
And that's important to know, people, because as a female, you don't really come across a lot of female studio owners.
Yeah.
But remember Tandra telling about it. Tandra.
Yeah. All right. So after many years of working at various different studios on the island, including G-Jam, Big Yard, Tough Gong, Anchor, the bigger studios, but there's lots of other small studios, private studios, home studios that are actually really big, but you know what I mean, like proper built situations in people's homes. I don't think I wanted to own a studio, but my business partner, like, just after doing so much business, and I wasn't realizing, but a lot of the meetings were happening out in either in his house or my house. Right. So it felt really good to get out of the house and out of my living room and into a space for ourselves, and we're doing business. And in retrospect, thinking back, I probably would have done this a lot sooner, but it's okay.
Well, I mean, it has happened now.
Yeah.
And when did you open this studio?
2 years ago, a little bit before COVID.
Okay.
January before COVID.
Okay, cool. All right, so, I mean, tell me though, how you get into the whole studio business? Engineering thing. Right.
So like I said, I was comfortable. It actually started with a conversation that I had with this engineer from foreign. And I was like, you know, at the time I was actually gonna get my studio. That's what it was. I was gonna get my studio. I was like, yo, what do you think? And he's like, why? I was like, what do you mean why? He's like, why do you need to have a... So I thought about it, and I think for another 2 years, I was like, you know what, he's kind of right. I don't think I was ready at that time to actually get to this level. Okay. Because there's another level above this. This was just setting up a room, making sure like some acoustic treatment is in the room. Right. But there's definitely a level above this, for sure, where you go into full construction.
So that's where you wanted to go at that time?
Yeah, I wanted to jump straight. I wanted to skip this and go straight to there. Okay. And so he was like, why? And I was like, yeah, why? So I just chilled for a little bit. Took some time to learn how to negotiate, how to get business to come to me, that kind of thing. And then after a while, it's like, okay, now this is starting to make a lot more sense.
Okay, and voila, here we are. Yeah. But I mean, tell me though, what is it that a studio engineer does? I mean...
All right, well, okay, so it depends on what you think a studio engineer does. Because I mean, for somebody might think that it's just, recording some dub plates, or you're just voicing and working with artists all day long. But as I've learned, again, with my business partner, is that, there's advertising opportunities, there's teaching opportunities for me, simply because I am a woman, and that there are other women in the industry interested in coming to this. And in Jamaica, you don't really have, you have a few programs that will teach you some stuff, but they'll just teach you some stuff. Nothing wrong with that again. And again, I feel like I might even land in the same situation where I'm just teaching you some stuff, but it's enough to get you working and get you in the right direction. So there's teaching, there's advertising work, there's just working on an EP with an artist. So you want to do more than just a song with them,
right,
or their album project. And then I get to combine things now because my studio is half music studio and then the other half is a video room.
Okay.
And so it's a one-stop now. So if you're coming in and like, you know, you want to do any sort of a podcast and you want some sort of a visuals to it, you know, we can quickly jump over there. We can do the audio here. So I'm getting into content creation.
Okay.
And then business services for other businesses. Right. Like what would you need?
Well, just at the same time, just tell them where they can find you, how they can contact you, because a whole lot of things are going in the one space.
Yeah, man. So you can find me. I'm Googleable. You can search. The name of the studio is Zen Studio JA. We have a business page set up, a landing page, so it shows you some of the business services that we offer and some of our rates.
Okay,
and the studio is on Red Hills Road.
Yeah, man. So check it out.
Yeah, you can find us on any of the social medias at Zen Studio JA.
All right, good. Zen Studios JA. All right. But in terms of being a female though, like how the industry, you know, what are some of the reactions that you get? Because I mean, I don't think I've come across, if we come across two female studio engineers.
That's enough. Yeah, in Jamaica, it would be rare here. I was the only one for a very, very long time. But you know, the funny thing is, the more I teach, like I have a small group of women I'm teaching now,
right?
And it's like the more I teach them, the more I realize like the aptitude for this. And I don't know why other women haven't stepped into this field, but it's very much like once you show them like, yo, it's this to this, and you do this to get to here, and they're like, oh, okay. Simple. And then their mind just they just wrap around, and they're just gone. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So it's not that it's hard or difficult. I just don't think it's very interesting. Okay. For if nobody introduces you to it, you're not gonna know. Okay. But yet still, and I say this from the point of kids, because there's a lot of kids whose parents, you know, probably had some sort of a studio in their house. So they had some sort of some situation where they were around music.
Some interaction.
So if it's not playing an instrument, if it's not doing that, but to get to this part, I don't think they had anybody to train them. You know what I mean? To say like, yeah, okay, I can record my daddy. You understand?
People may look on this and I see them all the time. But it just look like a jigsaw puzzle to me. I do.
And so I found a very easy way to kind of take away that like, this is overwhelming. I found an easy way to get that out the picture and just show you like, you know, what's happening. So anything after that is, you know, it's muscle memory. So I try to get you to do things so that you will remember how to do it.
All right.
Right. So
well, as she said that, because we're talking earlier, you're saying that you're planning on doing some more classes.
Yeah, tutorials, classes. Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
So is it for females only, or is it because you mentioned a female class? Yeah,
I know, right? So what happened is because I have one foot in the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone's like, yo, get back to the youth and everything. I'm like, okay, cool, here we're going. I don't think I could take on. My issue is overwhelming. I get easily overwhelmed by stuff, so I'm like, yo, let me just try with the women first. Yeah. If it goes well with them, then like, yo, I'll include it and I'll embrace everybody. But just give me a simple little group first, and you know what I mean? Yeah, let me figure that out first.
All right.
But I mean, no, man, we have a junior engineer here. His name is Hamez. He's really, really good. He's working on an EP right now with artist Alcohol, and he's doing fine. But I need to sit with him as well and just kind of. You know what I mean? Get him up to speed on some stuff. So it's not like, no, I don't train. I do, but it's just, if you're around me, you get the training. But if you're not around me, and I'm slightly elusive, so that's what I think. Yeah.
We won't say anything more about that. So I want you to tell me, like, how you actually, like, just got interested in this thing. I mean, I'm sure say, you this is not what you plan to become when you were in high school, or
so
what did you want to become in high school?
An engineer, but like a mechanical engineer, I think, because
that's different.
Yeah, way different. It was my grandfather's I'm not sure, industrial engineer of some sort. He was one of the original engineers that installed like some of the bigger boilers or main boilers over at Alpart.
Okay.
This is a long time ago, so I used to follow him all the time to Alpart. So as a young kid, you know what I mean? Like
interesting.
Yeah, it kicked in. But then here why now? Like my parents are into music, in terms of like they're consumers, like they play music all the time. They used to fight with music, like if they're warring each other. Like my mom had her records, my dad has his records, and it's war in the house. So when they start, certain songs start playing, like it's a clash, right? So that's how I got into music. But as a kid though, I couldn't even reach the turntable set, right? But so I used to stand on like some books, and just play the music because I know when they were warring, so I'm like, okay, I'll go downstairs and I'll just play these records. So I knew her side, I knew his side, I knew which ones to play. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll just play it.
So hold on there. Which collection did bother? Daddy collection or mommy collection?
Mommy one,
Oh,
no man.
Why not mommy collection?
No, mommy used to fling word. No, she used to fling word and I VR thing there. Like, no, some Millie Jackson. Oh, no man, when you played Millie Jackson, yes. I don't know how my dad didn't feel that. No. Serious fling shot didn't go on, man.
Yeah.
But then my dad would always come back with like, the Gregory Isaac them and all them stuff, and Dennis Brown and man. Funny. Right. So in university, I was, like I said, there's 2 turntables in my house and records, and I was buying my own set of records.
Right.
Very different than my parents. But something happened. Some roommates asked me to make a mixtape of old school records. I had a nice collection of stuff. I had like all the hits. And so I started making these really bad mixtapes for them. And that got me into DJing. And then fast forward from there, so I'm at university, right? So I'm about to graduate with a bachelor's in physics.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with this physics thing, because the research thing wasn't really for me. I tried it and I was like, this is boring. It's not gonna happen. So I think for a while I was just bouncing around doing these really weird jobs. And I don't know, that it just wasn't for me. None of it, nothing. I couldn't fight. My skin was uncomfortable. Yeah. Right? So I was always on the weekend, I'd be somewhere DJing at a club. And I think eventually I saw that there was an audio engineering school. So I thought with my physics background, I would understand the acoustics part of this really easy.
Right.
So I thought, okay, this should be a cakewalk. And like, it's relatively cheap to go to school in Canada at the time. So, and then when I got into class, I think what inspired me was my teachers, because they were like, at the time, 3 women walked into the classroom and they were like, yo, 3 of you? So he's Jamaican too, this little short guy, Django. Right, so he was just all excited about having 3 women in his class, so he made it his thing to make sure that we were going to get through this program. Yeah, we were gonna be the baddest thing in Toronto, and I think I was the only one that made it.
Oh damn.
But the thing is, like, okay, so he was already in his circle of engineers, but that just got me into his circle, his network of engineers.
Right.
So the guy that was running the program was this guy named Sam Weller. Sam had a studio, and it was the only reggae studio.
Okay.
In one of the only reggae studios in Toronto, or the biggest one, whatever, it's Central, nonetheless. So I got that job, and then from there, I stayed with it, right? So then my life just became trying to work these odd jobs, and studio work and DJing, and I was like, something gotta go. So I got rid of the odd jobs.
I'm gonna
just do this. I'm gonna just focus on this. And then I got an opportunity to come to Jamaica after about 3 years of doing that. And I came the one trip, and I was like, I like it.
Now go back.
Yeah, and it's not so much the island or nothing, but at the time, like, this is Canada before Drake, so there was nobody famous, right? And I'd be in studio like, I want that, I want that for myself. And I'm like, can I just work with somebody famous, please? And then I got to Jamaica, and in that 2 weeks, I worked with like Barris and Killa and a whole bunch of like Steely and Clevie and Sly and Robbie and
one week.
One Bulby was there, Red Rose, like I got people I met in the first, and that's like an everyday thing. Like if you go around studios, that's but me coming here thinking like, I've never seen this before, so I need it. So I quit my job, and everybody was fine because they were like, T, you're gonna go back to Jamaica and you're never coming back here. And I'm like, no man, I'm only gonna go for like 2 years. Don't worry guys, I'll be back. Don't worry.
A few years later.
Exactly.
More than a few.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But I mean, who are some of the, you mentioned a few names a while ago, but who are some of the names that stand out in terms of really interesting entertainers?
Entertainers.
And I mean, You can
Or
mention
interesting characters in music?
Yeah, because producers, you would have worked with everybody. But who are some of the characters that really stood out for you and why?
All right. Sly Dunbar.
Yeah.
For sure. Robert Livingston.
General.
Yeah. Robert Livingston.
Yeah. You don't tell me why.
The humbleness, the greatness for everything he's done.
Yeah.
And he's super normal. Yo, that just
them two are not really normally go together.
No, he's super normal.
Yeah,
and I was like, how is he unfazed, unchanged? Like, and I mean,
all them great.
Yeah, after everything, like everything, and you know he's been in some sessions, and you know he's done some things, and this man is just like
that's an easy same.
Easy. So I was like, yo, there's something to this. So that's deeply fascinating. Clive Hunt taught me a very valuable lesson. Like, yo, I think I was at a point where I wasn't sure about, like, I know I wanted to mix, but I wasn't at the point where I was mixing yet. I was still learning. Right. So there's a thing where people would actually trust you to mix. Because you're gonna get that. I went through it. I know every engineer goes through it, but I think I went through it a lot more than anybody else. Worse, because I'm coming from Canada with that Canada sound.
Yeah,
so that had to go. And then being a female was a really big thing. But it's really an abnormal amount of time, I think. But anyways, by the time I started working at Big Yard, like officially at Big Yard, the first person that came to me was like, yo, you know what, you're gonna mix this for me. And he didn't even think twice. This is my cousin.
Okay.
And he's a producer for Room Ram for QQ. So that was my first hit. That officially was my first hit. And then about 2 weeks later was Virginity with Cartel. And then a little bit after that was some Charlie Blacks. Yeah. Those are my first set of like, I'm actually mixing.
So your first set and you did so well.
But I mean, no, you're doing a whole bunch. Because prior to that, I mean, I'd been at Big Yard, and this is at a time when Robert and Shaggy were still working together. But Robert came back to Jamaica because they were busy, doing like their thing all over the world. But there was, I guess, some downtime, so they came back to Jamaica, and it was just before Shaggy was working on an album. So Robert, was interested in building up his catalog a little bit more. So he had started to produce a bag of rhythms, and so the industry was like, Robert have voice. So the whole industry came to the studio, and I was like, oh wow, this is what it means to So I got my voicing chops up for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because there's people that you work with, but then like, yo, this is Robert Livingston's production, so yo, this is a different level, and it's a good challenge, and I faced it, and I'm glad I did it.
For real. Wow. So, I mean, just back to the whole female thing though. Like, when people come around you at first, like, those who would have just, meeting you for the first time, what's the reaction like? Because, like, we don't normally see
they think I'm the secretary. They think I'm a secretary or something. Like, no, they already met a secretary, especially at Big Yard, right? So you meet Natalie. Natalie takes your money, and then there's like, it's the next woman that just walks you to the studio, and I'm like, really? That's what you thought? Okay.
Chaperone.
I'm a chaperone to the studio. So I'm like, okay. So then I turn on all the power and the amps and everything, and they still are like, so where's the engineer? And I'm like, really? I just turned on the amps, bro.
They say, alright.
Okay, all right.
Let's see what you got.
and then by the time I turn on the amps, they're like, oh, so you're the engineer, and I'm like, yeah. And sometimes it's really bad too. You would think I would introduce myself and I'd be like, yo, it's me, but I'm like, I'm not this kind of person, right? I'm very.
She do it on purpose, no. She do it on purpose. Because I wouldn't get a laugh. That's how serious. Be honest, man. I wouldn't laugh again.
Yeah. Love to. But it also helps you to kind of understand the client that I'm working with as well.
Yeah.
Low key. Yeah. I mean, I'm low key judging you, but I'm also like, how or where are you of the people in the room, right? And especially after doing this session with Jay-Z, yo, I'm not wrong. I'm gonna take it back neither. Zen?
Tell them right.
So I'm in a session, right? Jay-Z's there, Zen. There's like Junior Gang, like Taurus Riley, man in there,
Yeah.
Beer money. I'm the only woman in the room, Zen. They didn't tell me Jay was coming. They called me and they said, yo, can you come for the session? I said, all right, cool, I'm gonna come for the session, Zin.
Yeah, I know.
Jay-Z walks in the room, so imagine my gut now, Zin. All right, so no problem. And he's like, yo, come, give me a hug. I'm like, I'm hugging Jay-Z and Guru,
But
Zin.
you play it cool, no?
No, not really. But then about 20 seconds later, I'm like, yo, can you just give me the jump drive? Let me just get back to earth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it was like my second or third time working at Tough Gun. Because they hired me because they had the same board as Big Yard.
Right.
So, you know, they figure, okay, I'm competent enough. I'm like,
right.
yeah, and I know the studio. I've worked out of there before, right? But, I mean, come on. It's
That
your
was a
third time
big
working there. And
surprise.
it's Jay-Z. Like, yo, Jano. No, son, my belly. Anyhow, so in the session now, I really was trying to be, like, fading back into, like, the wall. You understand? Because anything, I understand, like, we're all chilling, but, like, you know what? If something goes wrong, I meet him all the point,
Right.
I'm like this the whole time, so he's, you know, we're listening to music. They did the interview. The cameras are gone. We're just inside. We're just chilling at this point, right? They're playing more stuff. Eventually, we realized he's playing 444, the album. We didn't know.
Yeah.
So it got to the part where the menage a trois and the da 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 da. So David, at the end of it now, there's this dead silence in the room, right? Okay, cool. So he plays like this next song, and like, you know, whatever. The song was like good though. Whatever, I can't remember what the song was, but you know, like they pulled it up and they played it again, and so he got to this part, and I was like, ooh, so I'm feeling myself now.
Yeah.
And so then that's when he looked at me. He's like, oh, that's the part that you like, and I was like, oh shit. He was looking this whole time because the whole time he was looking at everybody's reaction. I wasn't moving.
Yeah.
I was just like, yo,
so I realized, no,
don't let nothing down.
They get you.
So listen, I get it. Like, yeah, people pay attention to who's in the room, and so that's a yeah. So I low key. I do play very low key, but then at the same time, I kind of need to know who you are. And,
Right. Yeah, man, interesting. Have you had like a worst experience and a best experience?
Worst experience.
Like, maybe I don't know. Maybe everything go wrong or.
Well, see, all right. So here's the thing. I don't have a lot because at the time, remember before all this, I was fully teaching audio engineering.
Okay.
At this school called the Institute of something, whatever. But there's the Toronto Film School, and in the Toronto Film School was a audio program, right? Because all of us that were at this program that I went to, they all jumped ship and went to this new program. So I was teaching with my teachers.
Oh, okay.
But I had to take a year and actually officially work in the studio. And so they brought classes in. So they slowly got me to the point where I could teach, right?
Yeah.
So they had labs. So in our labs, they have about 20 computers. And, you know, they're sharing between the film students and the audio students. So enough things would go wrong.
Yeah.
When like one set would leave the class and next set would come in and there would be like the computers are all messed up. They're all jacked up.
Trouble.
So yeah, so I mean, I'm so used to fixing stuff and getting to that. So like I have it can't be that bad where it can't get fixed.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
It's almost like second nature to you now. This
Right.
correcting stuff and fixing.
There was, now that I think about it, there's one now, but actually I've learned how to fix it, so now I don't even stress about it no more. But my hard drive fell, or something happened to the hard drive, and I just finished mixing this person's album. A big artist now, as a matter of fact. I mixed the first album, and that's what made them pop off. And the hard drive died right as I finished mixing the last song, and I turned in the mix. And yeah, she was so mad. She was right hopping mad at me, and I had
I don't want to just see through the ground.
I had to mix back that album. I had like 7 days to mix an entire album.
Wait, how long did it take you originally though?
Like about a month.
And you had 7 days to do a month's work.
I had to turn it in. Like it was her whole record label and all. No man, that was serious. But now I understand how to fix the hard drive. Like when something like that happens, right? But back then I brought it to somebody like, yo, they couldn't get back none of the files. I was like, yo, I got no. Okay.
So we can check it then.
I even heard the stuff on MTV.
At a cost, and on a free thing. Where you can link her.
I actually heard those mixes on MTV the other day. It was on a TV show.
Okay.
And they took the whole album and did it as the background music for a whole episode.
Yo.
Dope though. I was like, oh,
levels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. And what about that's like the mishaps. What like one of your best experiences?
Jay-Z.
No, that was just a very that was just a different moment. Yeah, and that was my ability to
out of body experience.
but to also recognize that you're an engineer at the same time was like one of them moments that's gonna stick in my brain forever. But probably most of the work that I do over at GJam is probably very memorable because I have a whole routine when I get there. I just I mean, like I chill for the night. I got the studio door wide open. Music is playing. There's crickets. I got a whole routine the night before.
It's all different.
Yeah,
it's like an island for itself.
Yeah. And those, anyways, but those moments are always very like special. Like, and especially because GJam was the first place I came to as a studio when I started doing like work. So it's always like my happy space.
Yeah,
is over there. Yeah,
can imagine. Yeah, can imagine. But outside of being around the mixing board and mixer this, so I know something.
As a matter of fact, this too was a very good moment because I bought this from Rory, Stone Love Rory.
Wow.
So I'd seen him go through the whole thing where he, was coming from not really producing to producing and buying all of his equipment. And honestly, it's just off of conversations that we had, and then he would do his research and be like, "Yo, Tandra, I'm gonna get this. What do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, get that." And you know what I mean. So to see him go from like not too much to like all that he has now is like, yeah, man, that's very inspiring. And so he wanted to get rid of this board and get something else.
Right.
So I was like, "Yo, can I get the board?" Because I actually really, really like this board.
And you have seen him.
Yeah, and I've seen it in action. I've mixed on it, so I was really happy to get this in my life. Yeah, it was a moment. It was a moment for sure. Mm-hmm.
But outside of being around the mixing board and behind the computer and stuff, what's life like? What's Tandra like?
Oh, well, building some furniture, like COVID, just trying to, you know what I mean, just not flip out at people. I'm a big weed connoisseur, so I spent a lot of time smoking a lot of weed. It's Jamaica.
Yeah, man. Man,
it's the best weed on the planet. So, let me see. I'm not into farming. I'm really bad. And plants, me and plants is, I haven't killed my pets. They're good.
It's so like there isn't much that, there's not much that can be in the same room as Tandra, and,
No, but it's all good. It's all good. I just try to find things that interest me. Yeah. Right? Because, like I said, music was it was really weird how I picked this for me, honestly, because I did not see this coming. And so, I mean, I could always go back to photography, but I find like just taking pictures is one thing, but I'm really more interested in content creation. Right? And video production and making like short advertisements and filming them and getting the shot and creating them and using graphics and all that stuff is really, really interesting to me. Okay. Yeah, so I probably more than likely the evolution's going in that way.
All right, you see our face light up. So we don't have to ask her where the thing is headed next. Just look out for it, man. Look out for her.
Yeah, man. It's fun.
Yeah, man. Tandra, it was really great vibing with you today on Next Friday. So get a shout out.
Want to shout out Pusha Youth. Want to shout out the whole entire network. James, Alcohol, Papa Jack, Peppa. Want to shout out Christine up in New York. Does my PR, handles it for me.
Christine.
Yep. Want to shout out the girls over at Girls Limited, which is the nonprofit organization that I'm involved with. On the Big Woman Things album project.
Yeah.
Who else do I shout out?
Well, you know if you find her, and you know what, she's keeping up the good work. So Tandra, again, respect.
No problem.
Peeps, there you have it. Another episode of Next Friday. Now remember, go like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, because next Friday are every Friday. We out.
Turn it up some more, man. Vibe it some more. Yeah, man.
Yo, wanna check out Teino Humble Club. Wait, check out Next Frideh on the social media.
Check out Next Frideh, Teino Evans video.
You know, man, go stand over here, so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Right there, so yeah.
Come again, take 50.
I'm very much to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
So,